Hey, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. My name is Salvador Briggman, and on this show, we talk about crowdfunding, how to raise money, how to be successful. And today, we're actually talking about the gaming category, so specifically video games. And this is for Gamedec, an isometric cyberpunk RPG set in future century, in the future. So in this game, you're basically a game detective who solves crimes inside virtual worlds, and you use your wits to gather info from your witnesses and suspects, getting to the bottom of deceptive schemes. It's a really interesting project. And I kind of wanted to get into the behind the scenes today. So this project actually raised over $170,000, more than 4,900 backers. And they did some very interesting stuff with their actual campaign. So I kind of wanted to get into this because I think that the different categories are obviously different on Kickstarter, and you have to understand what it is you're going up against, and you have to understand how your specific category works. So you're going to learn a lot about the video game category here with this particular interview, as well as some advice and tips when it comes to running a successful crowdfunding campaign. Now, that being said, there are a lot of ways in which you can kind of get up to date with running a Kickstarter campaign. I got a YouTube channel under my name, Salvador Briggman. I got my blog, crowdcrux.com. We got kickstarterforum.org, which is an online forum community where you can go to learn about Kickstarter, and also you can share your project for free in that community. I think you have to post a few times, though, before you're able to share and create a new thread, just to make sure that people interact a little bit before they're being super self-promotional. One of the other things that I think is a really good resource is I send out a newsletter for you guys weekly, usually weekly, unless I'm super busy that week, basically that goes through killer crowdfunding tips. So some of the stuff that I'm discovering weekly, new tools, new resources, new ways to get funded, that kind of stuff. So if you want to be on the cutting edge of crowdfunding, go to crowdcrux.com/newsletter. That's crowdcrux.com/newsletter. Join the email newsletter there, and you'll start getting some advice and tips for me when it comes to launching your crowdfunding campaign. As you're going out there and, as you're listening to some of these different podcast episodes that I have out there, think about yourself, because when it comes to your specific project and what you're trying to accomplish in the world, you might not necessarily be trying to raise money for a video game, right? Or you might not be trying to raise money for a board game or a technology gadget or a gizmo or whatever, but you can see elements of yourself in these different categories, and also in these different entrepreneurs that I'm bringing to the episodes. All the time, I think that all too often we'll learn from people that are very similar to us, which is good, which is one of the ways I think we progress the fastest. But one of the ways in which we kind of grow beyond ourselves and we become more than we are is to adopt mindsets and tactics and strategies from people who are very dissimilar to us. This is kind of like the bread and butter, I think, of where creativity happens. Creativity happens not when you're, with the same crowd and everyone has the same way of thinking and the same goals and the same mindsets. That's great for hyper competition. That's really good for competition. Think about Silicon Valley. Everyone is super hyper competitive there. Same thing when you go to LA. Everyone is hyper competitive as an actor, right? It's a very competitive environment, and some people thrive in that. But when it comes to creativity, you're not going to get the most creative ideas when everyone is thinking the same, man. You're going to get the creative ideas when you're sampling new ways of thinking about a problem, or new ways of approaching something, or a new strategy. And that's one of the reasons why I like to bring on many different types of entrepreneurs and categories onto the show, is you'll start to get ideas from people who are applying something in the video game category that you could apply to the product category, like a technology gadget, right? Or you're learning about the technology gadget and you're like, wow, I could incorporate that into my more creative work, this way of, doing marketing, or this way of offering these reward tiers. So it really sparks a lot of ideas, I find, and it's much more high quality of ideas because they're more creative in nature, because it's very different usually from your way of thinking. So just keep an open mind when you're listening to these podcast episodes. Again, my name is Sal. Let's jump right into it and learn how Gamedec, an isometric cyberpunk RPG set in the future, was able to raise over $170,000 from more than 4,900 backers. It is coming up right after this. This podcast episode is sponsored by The Gadget Flow. The Gadget Flow reaches over 28 million people, and they've been around since 2012. They are Indiegogo and Kickstarter experts. They featured over 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns, and if you have a technology or design campaign, it is a great platform to generate awareness and get backers. You can check them out at thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today. Maybe we can kind of get started with, the idea or the vision behind the game. For those that are listening via the podcast, can you just describe the game a little bit for them?
Yeah, sure. So, as you said, on the introduction, Gamedec is a single-player cyberpunk isometric RPG. The game is based on a book series written by Polish author Marcin Przybyłek. So we are playing as a game detective who are solving crimes inside virtual worlds. So the game trying to give players freedom of approach. So we as a game detective are solving crimes, and the game continually adapts to our choices and never judge. So we basically are the sum of your choices, and the game trying to adapt the whole story, the whole cases that we are currently working on based on your decisions. So what's the most important thing in the game deck is that there are no bad choices. So the moral code is something that you have to, trust the whole character that you are trying to play.
When it comes to the creation, what was your role sort of in the development or the campaign?
Me and Chris, we are just part of a PR team. So our main goal since the November, correct me, Chris, if I'm wrong, but it took us a long time to get prepared, in 100%. And I can say that you can't just prepare yourself for a Kickstarter campaign in 100% because always there's something new that come up with the campaign after the start. So we were responsible for whole management process and basically giving the shape how the campaign look like, set up stretch goals, and also making the gameplay as well as Kickstarter videos.
When it comes to Gamedec, had the team developed games before? Like, was this their first game on Kickstarter? Can you just give us an idea of that?
Yeah, sure. So this is our first Kickstarter campaign. And what's most important, the game is currently in development for, I think, 2 or 3 years, because we changed the whole scope of the project back 2 years ago to fit it in the way that we want to have. So previously it was the other genre. We changed it for isometric RPG. So mostly Kickstarter was created to gain as much community as possible to give us feedback, to share their thoughts about the whole concept and share their ideas, because since the beginning we try to make the community-driven approach for the whole marketing campaign.
Mm-hmm. What did you do when it comes to the community? Because I do think the community behind the game is like almost a secret element. Like, it's kind of the secret sauce behind not only getting funding, but getting people enthusiastic about sharing it, talking about it on Reddit, etc. How did you begin to establish that community?
So to be honest, when we first showed the game deck during Gamescom in 2019, we started to collect the awareness and the interest of the players by showing the game as much as we could at the time. And basically, what we did was to create the core community in our channels, such as Facebook or Discord channel mostly, as well as on Steam and other platforms. But after that, when we started working on the Kickstarter campaign, we started to incorporate the whole process of gaining the interest of people. So the more they were connected to our campaign by the things we did, such as updates or our decisions which we made during the campaign, up to the point that right now we doubled or tripled the size of the Discord itself, and the other channels exploded somehow in a way that
That's
we
insane.
are actually very happy. Yeah. Yeah, that's insane.
Not a lot of people know about Discord outside of the gaming community. So how does a Discord differ from like a Facebook group or like creating your own online forum for either of you?
So to be like to explain how it works differently than the other social media channels we are using, because this is the most community driven type of channel you can use as a game developer to like gain the attention and the whole interest of the people as well, by using just like by speaking to the people themselves, because we have developers on the channel as well, which are responding to the messages and like trying to be familiar with the community as well. But we wanted to show the whole process behind the game, as well as showing all the different aspects of the game design, as well as other funny or interesting things about the genre itself.
When it comes to the Discord, it seems like things are a little bit more real time than like a Facebook group. Is that right?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Like the communications and such.
Yeah, because all the backers or other part of community have instant access, get in touch with developers. So Discord is also the great tool to do some meta games, send exclusive content, like we have secret channels for art, for other exclusive content to be shared.
Yeah, lore, characters, announcements.
Exactly.
It's a lot more like organized, right?
Yeah, it's kind of different type of, like when you're doing the social media by, like, let's say Facebook or Instagram, and you are just showing the content via those channels. It's like a similar content for the people who are watching it. And on Discord, it's much like intimate for them, because they have like their own place and it's gathering the same people. It's not like I've liked this page and I like this page. I'm on the channel which gathers actually the people who are interested in the same thing as I do. So it's like
a mini community. Yeah.
It's in the core case, it's that they are actually hyping themselves out on each other. Like somebody has seen something and he's like pointing out, look there, I found something, and the rest is like, oh yeah, that's great, that's okay, and they are like spinning everything to a very positive way, to be honest. So
that's awesome. Are you allowed to get the emails of like people who log in and create an account on Discord?
No, because the Discord is like we create a special invite and they are joining the channel by using the special link, but there are like for example our backers, so they've got the chance to join the Discord and gain the rank of the backer by using actually the survey we did on BackerKit. So we did a BackerKit survey which actually handled the whole process of gathering the
emails and all the contact info.
Yeah, all the contact info we need to have to actually add the roles.
Yeah,
for them.
Totally.
Yeah.
Were you surprised at the success of the game here? Because you hit your goal in like pretty much the first 2 days. You hit your goal, and then you continue to climb and get more and more funding. Were you like surprised by the success you were seeing, or the rewards that people were going after?
So I will start with the one part, and after that I will give the rest of it to Jacob. To be honest, I was really surprised during the first 2 days, because that's a funny story actually. I made a bet with the whole team at Unsharp Studios that I will shave my head if we will get funded in 7 days.
Really?
Which happened actually after 36 hours. So I had to actually shave my head, and I did it.
Oh, man.
So everyone, every time somebody pledged and the percentage of the fund was raising up, everyone was messaging me like, yeah, get ready to be bold. And yeah, there was like a lot of
it's not
funny.
It's not the worst time to make that bet, because with coronavirus, like everyone's hair is already so long, like we all need a haircut, right?
Yeah. I was like, it was like at the beginning of it, because we just recently started working the remote back then. And to be honest, when I shaved my head, I was like, I looked myself in the mirror and was like, no, I'm glad that I don't need to walk out anymore for a long time. But to be honest, I see, I was very surprised how great the first 2 days of the campaign were, and how the whole campaign itself exploded, and it was like very, very, very good. And I was glad to see that we actually did a very good job. Jacob, continue for the next part.
Yeah, sure. So like Chris said, we had a typical 2 campaign peaks, at the beginning and at the end. So for me, the whole outcome was, of course, bigger than we thought. That's why during the campaign, we also decided to give backers the second drop of the most popular tiers. For example, additional physical versions of the books, or additional way to add their own content to the game. And for me, the biggest shocker was the cross promotion thing, because the mention of the Pathfinder campaign gave us a very very big boost in terms of gaining additional number of backers and the funds. So friends from All Cat Games did the amazing job to boost our campaign. Mm-hmm. So thanks to them, we immediately grabbed the next stretch goal. I don't remember right now which one it was, but another example is contacting the a bit smaller campaigns like Chinatown Detective, which was on the same time on Kickstarter. Even if it was a smaller campaign, we are happy with the results and the outcome, because we are just sharing the other backers. Because what's important, I think that 80% of the whole backers have backed before the other campaign. So only
20% were 20% were like backers. The new one, and and the rest was like the coming back backers type of
When it comes to the cross promotion, what were they actually doing? Like, were they doing an update? Were they sending to their email list? How did they do the cross promotion with you guys?
Okay, so the case is that in terms of cross promo, you need to utilize as much things as you can. So you need to search for opportunities. You don't even know who or in what way they can help you. Like the Pathfinder as well as Chinatown Detective Agency did updates on their Kickstarter campaign. So on their updates, there were like mentions about our game and the link to our campaign itself. There was like a lot of other studios which actually did promo of our campaign on their channels like Facebook or Twitter. Yeah, the Twitter was a big thing at the time. So we had like a lot of interest because of the cross promotion with somebody. Like the one type of cross promo we had was this stretch goal we announced that was adding the new virtualiums and the virtual world in the game of Gamedec.
Very cool.
Which was it was like the from the game 7, the Days Long Gone, from the full theory and IMGN Pro. And we actually, when we announced it, some of the players which remembered the game were like, oh, yeah, that's great. I need to like raise my pledge to like have the greater amount rather than, typical. Yeah.
I love some of the artwork too you guys put together here. Like my favorite is this one guy who's like holding a brain. It looks like that looks so cool. It's so realistic, and it's totally in line with the theme of the projects as well. Are you looking for help with the fulfillment side of your rewards on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or any other crowdfunding website? Fulfillment is literally the gold standard when it comes to crowdfunding reward fulfillment. These guys will help you ship out your products, your packages, your orders to all of your customers and your backers. They've been working in this industry for a really long time. I totally vouch for their services, and they'll even do things like answer simple questions for you on fulfillment and shipping and figuring out how to get your products into the hands of your customers in the easiest way possible. If you're interested in learning more about them, you can go to fulfillright.com or crowdcrux.com/fulfillright, and that will take you to them. Again, that is FULFILLRITE.com.
Another one, promo art, which you could saw on the main page of the Kickstarter campaign. We try to sell the different virtual worlds that your character can join way different virtual worlds and be anyone, because based on Gamedec verse that Marcin created. It's similar to maybe Ready Player One. I can try to compare the whole Gamedec verse to this movie. That in virtual world you can be on a kinky world called Twisted and Perverted. You can run away from dinosaurs in a happy hunting grounds, or you can be in the far East world called Night's Code. So the creativity is just the limit. And like Chris said about the world that we are creating based on Fool's Theories game 70 Days Long Gone, we also, thanks to our backers, creating the world based on Lovecraft's novel about Cthulhu's. So it's great that it also will appear in the game.
Before you went live, I mean, like now you look back and like, okay, this was like an incredible success. You have like over nearly 5,000 backers, right, that supported this. Before you went in, like what was the biggest uncertainty that you had as a team?
To be honest, when I joined the team, I had like experience with the Kickstarter campaign, because previously I was working for the Chernobylite campaign from the Farm 51. When I started working on this campaign and to join the team of the PR, we were really concerned how can it actually work out during the pandemic, because of the COVID-19. We had like we were really concerned how it may cause, like there was couple of people who actually dropped out during the campaign itself because of they lost a job, or they have no funds to actually live for, or like other types of things. And that was actually my biggest concern, to be honest. Jacob, do you remember any other type of concern we had? Like, is it something bigger? No, that was actually probably the biggest concern, like because of it. But
yeah, you can't predict, how your campaign will go. You can, talk with your colleagues who had some Kickstarters before. You can talk with industry. You can, search after best practices and read postmortems from the previous ones. But it's always a bit of lucky and a bit of, the perfection and polishing the whole campaign, because
it's still a gamble, because you don't know if it's gonna take off, or it's gonna be like a success, or it's gonna be like worse.
yeah definitely.
Honest, yeah.
I mean, I think people you already saw just by showing off your game right before you launched to conventions and such, that people really had an appetite for it, right? So you did a little bit of validation, I think, beforehand. And then having that community as well, I think, is incredible for feedback, right? So people can give you feedback on like what they like, what they don't like, how you can improve the page, all of those things. And I think it's kind of really important because it's fluid, right? The project is fluid, kind of. You have to kind of brace for change and such.
I can actually tell you about one thing we did, one big thing I can actually remind myself of. When we started showing the page before the launch, when we showed up the first draft of the page before the Kickstarter campaign was like on, we received many comments about the structure of the campaign itself. So basically what we had to do, we had to change the name of the rewards because they were like offensive in some ways. It was like one word, but in some countries there was like a problem with it. So to be honest, we had to like swap the names to be more like into the game type, renaming the core names of the rewards. But it was a small thing which was actually like not that important to us, but for the people who were actually reading out the campaign, and they were like, that doesn't sound okay. Could you please change it, because maybe somebody will be offended by it. So we had to reiterate it.
I see. I mean, that's so important, because you could just launch this thing and then you can't really change the rewards, right? Once you put it out there, you'd have to create new ones. So I think that's so valuable to get that kind of feedback. I also like the ways you guys incorporate like emojis into the rewards. I haven't seen that done by too many other projects, so it was really interesting to look at also.
It was actually the idea of our community manager, Mateusz, who actually thought that this will give the small example of the reward itself by the small image, because we didn't want it to create like those big show-offs with all the items shown on the picture itself. So we had to think about other way to actually incorporate it into the system. So he was like, yeah, why can't we use the emojis? And he was like, yeah, so let's try it. And when I saw it for the first time, I was like, that's amazing. I never thought of that.
It's like eye candy.
Yeah, it's like eye candy. And actually, I know for a fact that one campaign did the same right now from Poland. One campaign from Poland did the same thing. So it's like growing onto something.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I haven't seen that too much at all. Being in Poland, is it like any different, you think, launching a campaign versus maybe in another country? Like, is it something where in Poland, crowdfunding is not as popular, or is it like there really wasn't any difference launching it from Poland?
That's hard to say, because for a fact, I can tell that there are two main forces which are actually like funding the projects and on every way. So it's like there are people from USA and there are people from Germany. Germans and Americans are two biggest funding elements. On our campaign, it was actually different, because on the second place we had Polish people, but we can tell that there is a lot of people who read the books the game is based on.
I see.
Yeah, so probably that was the thing that changed the whole pacing of the communities.
Yeah, because I was looking at that, I'm like, oh wow, they got their second largest number of backers from Poland. So you did something right with your own local community,
Yeah.
I think so too. Also, community that it's familiar, like Chris said, with the book series, because once again the games is based on the Polish book series. So Polish community, it's for us also important in terms of those books. And we also on Kickstarter gave people the opportunity to grab books in English, because they were never released in English language.
Mm-hmm. So Onchar Studios, you guys have created a lot of different games over the years, right?
Yep.
When it comes to crowdfunding, why was this your first one that you decided to go that route?
Well, in terms of first party games that we are creating, previously it was Telefrag VR and detached VR games. Our government, the Polish government, ran a lot of boosters and programs that gave us opportunity to for example, appear on various events with the game like Gamescom or PAX East, but they also gave us fundings to create the game. So I think that Gamedec is the first bigger project. It's a huge scale of doing the whole branching, and it's our first approach to the RPG games, to the games that gave you more feelings like not only adrenaline or dopamine. So I don't know. I think that we felt that doing the Kickstarter campaign for Gamedec, it's the right choice in terms of community-driven marketing, that we want to take want to grab the community, and I hope that right now the Discord will be growing even bigger, and we have the first grain of the community, and it will be still growing throughout the Gamedec or Steam or GOG.com wish lists.
Yeah, definitely. I just have like one or two more questions for you guys while I have you here. One of them is going back in time, this being your first campaign for this particular project, like, would you have done anything differently? We didn't talk anything about like the email list, or if you'd done Facebook Messenger bots or like any other kind of creative techniques. Would you have done anything differently with this project?
Would you like to start, Chris?
Yeah, I will start. So basically, when I was comparing the ways we were incorporating this campaign over the previous one I was working on, I was like really amazed how well it was thought, because of the community we had on our back, because they were like joining, and the Discord was like alive back then, and there was a lot of interest from the people who actually knew the game is somehow being shown somewhere. We had like a specific goal that we want to first let know the community itself to that the game is going on Kickstarter, and the whole campaign will be launched in March, and they were like, yeah, that's amazing, that's great, I will definitely back it up. So we had like an initial
momentum,
grain of people, momentum, the initial momentum, the dynamic of the start of the campaign, but we weren't using any bots or the email lists, because we were like, we have the community behind it, and it will be the best gear to actually give up the momentum for the campaign itself. Jacob?
So what I want to point out that we had the different reward levels model in mind, because we at the beginning we had the well familiar includes all above model, and so this is the most common model for the Kickstarter campaigns. It's based on that each higher price reward includes all the content from lower price tiers. So since the Gamedec it's all about the making choices, we decided that we want to do it in a quite different way. That's why we split the rewards between digital and physical tiers. So we gave the players chance to choose the most suitable for them. So I think that this, even it was a good idea at the beginning, it's caused us a bit of problems in terms of communicating directly with the backers, because we also did the Kickstarter special thing. It was available for the first week along with early birds. So what happened? People decided to buy this higher reward with a Kickstarter special, even if they have game with $3 or $4 cheaper reward level. So this Kick special, even it was a good thing in terms of incomes. it gained a bit of confusion. That's why we decided also to give all the backers opportunity to grab add-ons via backer kit in the currently used pledge manager. So I think that it was a quite unstable thing, and also stretch goals. Fortunately, we decided to do the stretch goals, in a different way, because the initial idea for stretch goals wasn't catchy at all. So fortunately, we thanks to our community, we decided to create additional languages or the Cthulhu awards. So I'm very grateful, and unfortunately, we didn't manage to grab the Nintendo Switch because it was pretty thousand to go.
So looking back, would you have then stayed to the original model where when you back the $10 tier, it includes everything from the $5 tier? Would you have stayed with that model, or are you happy with how you did it?
To be honest, I think we are very happy with the result. If it was because, when you see the people who are like, yeah, I don't want the digital content, I just want the physical one, or the people who are like, yeah, I see that there are some things I would take on the physical, but there are some things I want to have or want to be a part of, for example, the pledge where you were actually able to record your own message for the game, or the pledge
that is
where
so cool,
you were, many people were like, I want to have that over the physical content, and I think that was pretty good in terms of seeing how the dynamic of the campaign itself changes when you have something which is actually pretty, let's say, sexy for the people, because they see you can do your own graffiti in the game and we will put it somewhere, or you will decide.
Yeah, I love that.
And they were like, I love it, I want that. Or you can be an NPC in the quest, and they were like, that's amazing, I want that. I remember talking to a couple of people who were like, can I have this tier but with something else? And we were like, had to individually fix the issues they had. But to be honest, I see how many people enjoyed the way we did our reward
out,
levels.
yeah.
So yeah, it worked out at the end. So yeah.
My last question. Sorry.
Can I?
Yep.
Yes. Sorry. So I think that only price gap in the reward ladder should be tweaked, because we had the situation when we had the cheapest reward levels and the most expensive ones, and it was 2 or 3 days when we had to add the additional ones, because the popular tier between, for example, $25 to $60 wasn't available. So only this 2 or 3 days was I'm not happy with that situation.
Okay, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. So my last question for you is, I think you guys also did a really great job of getting into the media. You got on PC Gamer, RPG Gamer, a bunch of other ones. Do you have any thoughts on ways to improve the chance you get into the media? Was it just these people approached you? Did you do cold outreach? How did you get onto some of those publications?
The case is that when you want to share a campaign, it's not that great for the medias. They usually dropping the topic of the Kickstarter itself, because everyone is actually trying to get with the Kickstarter to reach the audience, but it's a different way, because you have to actually reach out to them and ask if they want to have something extra, or an exclusive material or something. And if they agree, we have additional awareness, and we can actually tweak it in a way that people will know that this is for the campaign itself. And there are many other ways you can actually reach out, because if you have good relations with the media itself. They were actually like, I remember like many people reaching out to us, to me or Jacob, to actually get a interview or something other, to just like boost up a little the campaign itself. So, first thing I will say, it's the relations with the media. Second is the patience with the reaching out to them itself.
Yeah, and it's not all about the Kickstarter campaign, because in our situation we try to run with the 10 minutes exclusive gameplay video on IGN. And fortunately, we managed to do it one day before the start of the campaign. So it's also the good tip for other projects to try to grab as much attention as possible in the the day of launch or 2 days ahead to give the visibility, the buzz on social media, and then everything's go.
Yeah. Getting your ducks in a row. It all worked out very well for you guys. Congratulations on your success so far. Where can people go to learn some more about the game, and if they're interested in it now that's finished on Kickstarter?
Yeah, so I think the best way is our mentioned before Discord channel, and we are mostly on every social media. So we are running actively on Steam, on Twitter. It's called Gamedec the Game, as far as I remember. And
DEC too, GAMEDEC.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
No worries. Yeah,
so,
sometimes you might do like DEC, DECK. Just want to make sure they got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show, and I appreciate you sharing this, being very transparent with your whole process. Maybe we can end, if you could leave the audience with one final either word of encouragement, either something you wish you knew, or something you just kind of want to pass on to other, budding creatives out there who are trying to get attention for their games, be that a video game or board game, whatever it is. Maybe we can end on that note.
I will say be humble, but try to make your way out. Every time you see a moment when you need to act, do it, but be persistent with the whole setup you tried and the mindset you've started with, because everything can happen, and it can be very tough. Every day can be a success or can be fail, but you need to just push it. Yeah
I can say that just be creative and do not hesitate to contact your colleagues from the industry or reach out on Twitter. As you said, the transparency is the key, and also the Kickstarter support is very, very helpful. So as I said, try to reach out to find the answer to your questions that bothering you, and keep your fingers crossed.
Well said. Guys, thank you for coming on the show, and good luck with the rest of your success.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. My name is Salvador Briggman. I hope you got a lot of advice and tips out of the show here today. And I also hope you're having a good, productive week. Productivity is one of those things that's kind of elusive sometimes, and also other times it kind of rushes in, right? And you're super productive and hyper going towards your goals. And this is the same experience that I've always had in life, where you have really good periods of productivity, and then other times when you're just kind of not, right? You're super lazy, or for whatever reason, you're just not going towards your goals. You're not sure why. You're not staying motivated. And I think this is a big problem when it comes to business, and also when it comes to doing a new project, because you can be really excited and you're like, wow, I'm so ready to take on the world, and then a month or two later you're like, I don't know if I should keep going with this is no longer fun, there's a lot of work. So what I like about crowdfunding is it kind of compresses this entire work into a really short time span, where you got to be serious, man. You got to be serious for 3 months before you go live. You got to go live. You have 30-day live campaign. It's really compressing a lot of things. It's like a business boot camp, right? It makes you focus. It forces you to have a timeline. It forces you to set milestones and to also be beholden to those backers when you get them. if you follow the steps that I outline in my book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula, then you will get funding on the first day. You will hit your goal within the first 3 days if you follow the steps that I outline. So it's not like a question mark. The question mark is like, what do you do next, right? How do you maintain momentum? How do you fulfill rewards? All that kind of stuff that goes into running a successful crowdfunding campaign. But the other thing is, all too often I have creators who just aren't sure and are feeling a little bit uncertain. So they've listened to all the podcasts, they've listened to my audiobook, they've gotten some good advice when it comes to just researching on Google, right? Or reading a book of other kind of nature or stuff like that. And like, I still feel just a little bit uncertain because this is the first time I've done this, or I'm not completely sure. And those people usually are a good client or a good candidate for booking a one-on-one coaching call with me. So this is basically an intensive hour-long call where we go specifically into your campaign and your project. And we walk through every single element. We go in terms of the milestones, what you got to get done, who you should be working with, the resources you should be drawing from, some of the tools you might not even know about, right? You don't know what you don't know when it comes to doing something new. And a lot of people, I'd say like maybe 95% of the calls that I've done in my lifetime, everyone has walked away having really valuable things they can apply to their project. And more often than not, it's also changed the direction of what they're doing, where they're like they're in the right direction, but there needs to be just a few tweaks in order to really hit it big with a crowdfunding campaign. So if that sounds interesting to you, go to the link crowdcrux.com/coaching. That is crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching. That link will take you to my coaching form where you can fill out a little bit of information about your project. Tell me about you, tell me about your goals, and we can use that call very efficiently so we can get through a lot of material. And also, I can bring all of my learnings from the last, 8 years since 2012 or so to your project and to sort of filter it through that lens. Another thing I just kind of want to quickly say is that if you are having trouble with motivation and with staying on track and with milestones and kind of like the logistical component of running one of these campaigns, I've done so many of them now that I really have that down pat. And this is one of the services I offer with my longer term coaching. So if you feel like this is an area that you might struggle with, you want to make sure you have someone on your team to kind of hold you accountable and to make sure that you're doing the things you got to do. Kind of like making sure you're also not making any stupid decisions when it comes to hiring people. You might not know their history or the history of some of these companies that are out there in the crowdfunding industry. You can also, we can talk about doing a longer term coaching program on that call. Or if you want me to take over the whole process for you, you can also explore that option with running a successful Kickstarter campaign. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Sal. Hope you liked this episode and check out some of the other ones in the archives. Give me a rating and review on iTunes, or if you're listening to this on YouTube, give me a thumbs up on this one. Thank you so much, dude. And I will see you next time.